Blake Lively's company is being exposed. She is being put on full display from sleeping with staffers to secret settlements. What? And not only that, but it's just been revealed in new court documents that Blake Lively is refusing to participate in a third party investigations into her claims against Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni. Lots to get into. Let's dive. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Just when you think that the news story couldn't get any more yummy, it just continues to unfold. My goodness. If you missed it this morning, I have a clip that's now up on YouTube from my appearance on Opening Statements with Julie Grant on Court TV. I hope you watched it live. If you did, amazing. Thank you for tuning in. If not, you can catch it. I'm talking all about the Diddy trial and Aubrey O'Day and why she is not going to be testifying in the Diddy trial. So tune in. It's on the YouTube channel now. I'll also post it on Instagram. And also, I was on Billy Bush's podcast, Hot Mics with Billy Bush. So if you did not catch that, be sure to go watch that on Billy Bush's YouTube channel. I believe it's also available on TuneIn. So go and check out Hot Mics with Billy Bush. Monday's episode. I am on it. There I talk about Blake Lively, the launch of her new hair mist that she just announced, and then the Taylor Swift of it all. But today, we're not even talking about Taylor Swift today. Like for once, it's like, what? There's no new Taylor Swift update. I'm sure Blake is kind of happy that we're moving away from the Taylor Swift story, but probably not happy with the new direction we're going in. But oof. Yes, Gwen, we're literally 800 subscribers away from 100K. That's insane. We're at 99.2 thousand subscribers. 99,200 is the number we're at right now. That's less than 800 away. Ah, 800. We're almost there. Just the final 800 people. The 800 people watching this right now, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Hit the like button. If you're watching on Spotify, drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're enjoying the show. Leave a rating on Spotify. Last week, I think for a week straight, we were at number 3 on the Spotify charts. Last I checked, I think we're number 5, but like, can we get to number 2? Can we get to number 1? Leave a rating on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you like the show and you're listening to it on Apple. Show some love for No Filter with Zack Peter. All right. Whew, so much to get into, right? What do we want to start with? The Blake refusing to participate in the investigation into her claims, or this very yummy story by Josh Boswell? I love Josh. Josh has been doing such an incredible job at the Daily Mail doing these investigative pieces, and he just put out a new one about Blake Lively's company, Preserve. Um, is it? Yeah, Preserve. Somebody said that it was pronounced preserve, but I was like, I don't think it's pronounced preserve. It's preserve, right? It's spelled like preserve. It's preserve. But anyway, I guess we could start with that. Or was there anything else? We also had um Taylor Swift, since we were talking about her. Zach was on Court TV. Woohoo. Yes, thank you. Taylor Swift, since we were talking about her, I believe the first song from Reputation, Taylor's version, which I guess is going to be, remember, people are predicting, what is it? Is it the AMAs, or there's an award show that's coming up and people are saying, oh, Taylor Swift is going to announce her new album. Is it going to be a new album? Is it going to be called Karma? Or is it going to be Reputation, Taylor's version? And so I think that's what's coming, because we had a new song from Reputation, Taylor's version, one of the re-recorded tracks that was played in the new promo for Handmaid's Tale, the final season. So there we go. Handmaid's Tale coming out, final season. And Trisha's making fun of my you're wearing a turtleneck in May. First of all, Trisha, you're forgetting I'm in Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, we don't dress for the weather, we dress for the cameras. And I was on Court TV this morning, and so I wanted to look professional, and so I wore my turtleneck because I feel like it gave me a little more credibility. I can put on my fake glasses too. Do you want me to put on my fake glasses? I'll wear those too, just for you. On display. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. Look what you just made me. Ooh. So There we go. I know Chef Stew's gonna be excited about that. Okay, let's dive into Blake Lively and her Preserve company. So Preserve was basically her Goop, right? She was trying to be Gwyneth Paltrow back in the early 2010s, and so now that company is being brought to light. I'm gonna have to talk about, I'm gonna have to do a special members only about this, but yes. So there is here, I'll pull it up for you. I don't think I can show you guys the full article because it was behind the Daily Mail paywall, so I want to be respectful to the Daily Mail. But so the story from Josh Boswell is inside story of Blake Lively's disastrous attempt to copy Gwyneth Paltrow. Staff blow whistle on drugs, affairs, and a bed in the office. What? And so this is the full story that you can read on the Daily Mail, but I'll recap it for you here. So Josh Boswell dug into Preserve. And so Preserve was, as he mentioned, her attempt to be Gwyneth Paltrow. She wanted her own version of Goop. I believe this was before Goop really took popularity. I feel like Goop really blew up in like 2016, 2017. It was around and it was gaining some sort of popularity. I believe Gwyneth Paltrow started it back in like what 2009, and it was like a lifestyle blog. Well, Blake Lively had her own version of it. I think here, Blake Lively Preserve. I was looking at it this morning. Dun dun dun. It is just it's so funny. So apparently the press did not like this. And when you actually look at the website, it's not that cute. Like the cut described it as a scary movie. Um, Here, I'll pull up a still shot from because obviously the website is no longer around. So that's why I do suggest you watch the show on Spotify or on YouTube. But so Preserve, this was, and they had, a letter from the editor, and it was all like black and white. And it was kind of like very country farm in like a way even but it does kind of look like I do agree with the cuts categorization of it by saying Blake Lively's blog looks like a horror movie, which it does. Like it's very dark, it's very gloomy, it's very the Guardian described it as Blake Lively's Preserve website made me want to eat the rich. Rich people selling each other useless items is one of the modern economy's bottomless wells of entertainment. Lively's site Preserve is a shining example of this. And this is how they were describing it. So the cut says, um, when was these articles were published back in this was right after the launch of it, back in like I want to say this was like 2014, if I'm not mistaken. 2014, yes. So it looks like it launched in the summer of 2014. Here, we'll actually read to give you a little background on Preserve before we get into the meat of the story. Okay, so the Guardian described it as it's been said that hatred of something in common is the easiest way to bring people together. Over the last few days, the internet has shown how true this is, speaking with an uncommon unity to convey one important message. Blake Lively's new website, Preserve, really sucks. I believe it is no longer active. No, now preserve.us, which was the original URL for it, is now run by a company called Preserve and Gifting, Kindness and Gifting Advice. Interesting. I'm glad they took it over with kindness. The internet is right. Preserve is awful, so eminently mockable that I can't rid myself of the suspicion that a team of researchers assembled it to test new methods for attracting haters. Part e commerce hub, part philanthropic endeavor, it has this to say about itself. Preserve is all of us together, championing the goods, makers and legends that instill meaning inside the moments of our lives. The site drips with aggressively cheesy copy set against a backdrop of wood texture, old timey fonts, and sepia tinted photography. All of these elements are intended to connote nostalgia, but taken together, it's likely being smacked repeatedly across the face by a soulless marketing professional wielding a vintage typewriter. You will hark. You will hearken back to a simpler time, it screams. You will imagine a humble whittler working in front of an open fire. Preserves terrible performance of authenticity, reeks of its editor's youth and wealth. It's clear Lively has no idea what she's doing and nobody to sit her down and tell her how urgently she needs to cram it. But the site's clumsy tangled of backwood hipster symbols, while hilarious, is far from its worst feature. Uh-oh, what's its worst feature? And then we have all these different we have vegan hot fudge. Ooh, yum. All natural hot fudge. It says Goops? Goops hot fudge? Goops. Oh, Coops. Interesting. Coops Micro Creamery. They're selling the hot fudge. Interesting. They also have a salt box. They have a mason jar candle. I mean, this is pretty ugly. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. It's like at least Goop when Gwyneth Paltrow did it, like there was like a chicness to it. While Preserve really shines as an example of how rich people conceive of the lower class, Lively details her philanthropic plans under the title Greater Good, a bizarre and clinical phrase that you can imagine being chanted by members of a cult. We are aware that a lot of what we are selling is outlandish in a world where people are starving and have nowhere to sleep. This is a real problem. Okay, this sounds really out of touch. Okay, one that even on our high horse we can't imagine. This is our community, each of ours. We have set our first goal of giving 5,000 children a meal, 2,000 children a blanket, and 2,700 children a warm hoodie, all within the U.S. Is this is this the royal we? Rather than committing to donate a percentage of the site's profits to charity, Preserve invites us to imagine Lively tucking 2,000 orphans into free blankets with her own hands, perhaps patting them each tenderly on the head. It's the crass non it's the crass noblesse oblige of new money making a fuss over a pre-specified number of blankets and hot meals, deploying the rhetoric of community as though Lively couldn't personally fund 5,000 hot meals with the change in her glove box. Very true. She does have a lot of money. Now, that said, as somebody that has a background in nonprofit fundraising, specifically celebrity nonprofit fundraising, I will say you do typically, this is more of a nonprofit approach to things. Like you typically set out, the number of blankets, the number of meals. That way, to people, like to the average outside general public, like they get an idea of like, oh, 2,000 blankets. That seems like a lot of numbers. Like you typically set those metrics versus percentages because people don't often calculate the percentages themselves. So like, well, what does 20% mean? What does 10% of proceeds mean? So unless it's a big number, like when I did my charity campaign for the No More organization in honor of Justin Baldoni, I donated 50% of the proceeds and then I gave you the exact number of proceeds that were donated. Actually donated more than that. But I didn't publicly announce that. But so yeah, it's interesting. So that's what the Guardian is saying. Let's see what Blake Lively or what the Cut was saying about Blake Lively's website. Blake's not lively. Blake Lively's lifestyle blog looks like a horror movie. Look at there it is. Ooh, this is the summer issue, and it does look pretty scary. Blake Lively has just officially launched Preserve, her own internet emporium. It looks like a promotional website for a horror movie in 2005. Preserve is encompassed within the most shady website color scheme, black background, white writing. Its editorial mission statement features an eerily backlit photo of an ethereal blonde lady ghost. That's Blake Lively. I believe she's here's the lady ghost, the Blake Lively lady ghost. Okay, the visual language is the visual language of the psychological thriller is clear inspiration. Everything is cased in shadow. Creepy foliage is the foreground. The tag text is ominous. Strange metal scraps are highlighted. Even an image for an article about Sundays, which uses libido as a metaphor for ice cream stacking. Oh, she didn't say yummy. Has a photo of a woman who looks like she's screaming. I wish we could see these old, but the pages, yeah, the website's no longer available. Welcome to the internet. Nightmare inspo. Happy to have you here. Is that it? We don't have any more stills of Blake Lively's website. Greater Good Shop. I wish we could actually explore this website a bit more. What a time. What a time. Okay, so let's get into the allegations that were made by some of the former staff members. But first, a quick message from this week's sponsor. Are you feeling off after the COVID vaccine? Well, you're not alone, and new research backs it up. In a groundbreaking study, risk stratisfaction for future cardiac arrest after the jab, Dr. Peter McCullough highlights an alarming rise in sudden cardiac events among young and previously healthy individuals. His study found that tiny hidden patches of heart inflammation, often missed by doctors, could silently be building up, leading to sudden heart attacks during exercise or sleep. That's why the wellness company created the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, crafted with 100% natural ingredients specifically designed to help your body clear harmful spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. Don't wait until symptoms strike. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, a top freedom fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to get 15% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to get 15% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. Okay, it looks like the Instagram account for Preserve is still up. Let's look at that, shall we? Okay. Oh, it's followed by Dorit Kemsley. That's funny. I mean, obviously, when was the last time a post was made? October 2015. And this is where they say, thank you for sharing your stories with preserving with us. Preserve.us is now closed, but keep an eye out for future projects. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at customer care at preserve.us. XO Blake and the Preserve team. Oh, people are still commenting. Cancel justice for Justin. Wow. I didn't realize people were still out here commenting on this. Oh, recently came back to this randomly after 10 years. Oh, the nostalgia. Oh, the great memories. And so this is the account they were making. Yummy donuts, 3 days left to shop, eat and celebrate, preserve style. Click the link in our bio. Use code extra 60 off to take 60% off. They had all these yummy recipes, all these fun clothing style. Oh, look, here's Blake. I don't like the style of any of this. Blake wears the ultimate statement jacket from Anna. Who? Pair it with leather racers with a leather racer front dress. Interesting. I don't like this. Like, you heard it first. Blake Lively's closet is open. Shop the link in our bio and let her be your personal stylist. We have pretty things. Regram Blake Lively looking her best at Tribe 212. Did you hear about the Tribe girl? We think we found her and she got it from her mama. Oh, and it's a cute picture of Blake and her mama. These photos are terrible. I mean, I get it. It was like the style of like 2014 to put like these overly filtered filters on your Instagram posts, but I mean, come on. It does kind of feel very Blake. It does, but it also feels very like 2009, right? Maybe like 2011. Oh, look at I'm on a red carpet. Look at me. So this was after Gossip Girl, right? Or this was like around the end of Gossip Girl, right before I think her career took off with the Green Lantern. Yeah, because she was just doing Age of Adeline, and that was her big movie. It was Gossip Girl and then Age of Adeline, but before the Green Lantern. Interesting. Preserve. In God we trust. We're new to the neighborhood and making fast friends. Okay, that's enough about Preserve because it's old and recycled. But let's get into the tea. So Preserve was launched in 2014. So it didn't even last long. It was only around for about a year. But so Josh Boswell from the Daily Mail got a few different, I want to say it was like three, maybe four different former staffers to go on record anonymously, but to go on record and talk about their experience. But so the company was launched by Blake Lively, but eventually it was taken over by her brother, Eric. So Eric was also an actor. He was in The L Word. He was in a number of different projects. And actually, to be honest, Eric's kinda cute, like, I'm not gonna lie. He was very, very much a cutie patootie. I was actually very turned on by him, and hearing that, he was mismanaging the company, like, I kind of wanna forgive him just because he's so hot, and I love a toxic man, right? Look at so this is one of Eric's old, like, acting headshots, like, cutie, right? Look at him. So I guess she gave the company over to Eric to help lead, right? So I guess she was, the face of the brand. She was kind of the one that was like creatively directing the company, but ultimately Eric was the one running the day-to-day operations. He's like, "Oh, look at my sister." And listen, he's kind of cute, right? But so I guess they had offices that they started out with the marketing company that they partnered with in Los Angeles, and then eventually Eric took over, and Eric then brought the company and started running it out of his New York City apartment. Okay. Which interesting. And so after that, I guess the former staffer started to describe the work environment as toxic, unprofessional. They said that his apartment reeked of weed. Oftentimes, they would get there early to come and work on things, and he would leave them outside in the cold because he was tired and he was sleeping in. Imagine showing up for work and like trying to be a good contractor. I apologize if I do use the word employee. I don't believe that any of these people were actual like employees. I believe they were all independent contractors. They may have been employees. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't know the in and outs or the workings of the company. But please don't tell us that you're Zactivated for Blake's brother. He's kind of cute though, right? I mean, I would let him leave me out in the cold for a little bit. I'm kidding, I'm joking, that's obviously not it. Um, but he is cute. I wouldn't wait out in the cold for him, that'd be like, "Fuck you." But so, he started to take over the company, and I guess he then became, I don't know what his official role, but I would imagine became kind of like the CEO of the company in some sort of way. You guys are saying, "No, you don't think he's cute?" I especially think of 2014, right? The 90210 reboot, like that era, like he's very much fitting that vibe, right? He looks like Muppet Mouth. I love a Muppet Mouth. Austin Kroll, oh, I love a Muppet Mouth. He's a cheater. Okay, well, let's get to it. So anyway, Eric was running the company with Blake Lively, right? And she, again, face, he was operations. And so I guess he had them working out of his apartment out in Manhattan, but he didn't even have like desks for them to sit at. So they were all kind of like sitting on the floor working, which to me, I get it. It's not the most professional work environment, but also startup company, like a lot of Silicon Valley companies, a lot of app startups, like they all kind of work out of studios. They don't have like a formal workplace that they all have. I mean, obviously, regulations have changed. Now you kind of have to have an office space and you have to have some sort of differentiation before, from office and live space, right? So I get that times have changed, but back then this does feel kind of startup. So I'm not entirely bothered that he didn't have like formal desks for them to be sitting at or working at. But like, come on, Blake. So apparently they claimed that he was running the company into the ground. He didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't very good at running the company. And I would imagine like it's kind of, Nepo baby gets to run his sister's company. She's a famous actress. This should seem like a walk in the park. Gwyneth Paltrow already opened the door for us. We should be solid, right? Well, I guess some of the staffers were not happy with the way that they were being treated at the company. They didn't think that it was a professional workplace environment, so they were threatening to sue Blake because I guess they brought concerns to her. She didn't want to be bothered by it, so they were like, "Okay, well, we're going to take legal action against your company for how we're being treated," right? And instead, Blake ended up paying them out, reportedly up to $300,000 to sign a non-disclosure and keep quiet about the company. Obviously, here we are over 10 years later. Come They really stuck by those. That 300,000 ran out quick. But they said that even Leslie Sloan was the one that was kind of behind making sure there was no negative stories that came out about Blake even back then. And so she was the one that was trying to silence all of these employees. But Blake's brother, he was the lead of the company, often was smoking weed. And apparently the paychecks were haphazard and he was sleeping with one of the staffers, despite the fact that Eric was married. Now, I don't know how legit Eric's marriage actually was. Um, I may or may not know which staffer he was sleeping with. I can't, sorry, I need to bite my tongue. I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble there. But I didn't. I've known about a lot of this stuff for a while, and now seen it before the Baldoni stuff. I've known about the Blake stuff, but it's interesting. So he was married, having an affair with one of the staffers, and like Blake's cool with that. Like your brother's running the company. This is somebody that's working under him, and now and so these staffers were then they called a meeting to like sit down with Blake and be like, Blake, this is not cool. This is not kosher. We have concerns. And apparently, a direct quote from them when they tried to complain about Eric and how he was mismanaging the company, Blake didn't care about any of it and didn't want to hear about any of it. So it seems as they were raising concerns to Blake about this toxic workplace environment, she didn't care, didn't want to address it, didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to hear about any of the shady things that her brother was doing, right? Possibly, I mean, if the apartment reeked of weed, I would imagine maybe he was smoking on the job. Possibility, I don't know, within the realm of possibility, not making any accusations. I'm just saying it's within the realm of possibility. And apparently, three of these former staff members had said that they knew about this sexual relationship that he was having with this other team member, this other staffer. Hmm. Very interesting, Blake. Knowing your brother is running this company, your company, and sleeping with your staff? Blake. And you're going to try to complain about Justin and how he ran an environment of toxic positivity? Blake, you think we just fell out of a coconut tree? We see you, Blake. But so rather than addressing any of these concerns, employees started to get fired. They were getting paid out. They were having to sign non disclosure agreements. Interesting, interesting, interesting. But ultimately, the company shut down in 2015, and Blake claims that it was due to sexism. Sexism is the reason her company didn't last, is because the media didn't like that she had an ugly website, which, let's be fair, it was a really fucking ugly website. That website was not cute, not even a little bit. Were you like, yeah, let me go on this website and buy this fudge? Let me eat Blake Lively's fudge? First of all, that alone sounds naughty, but we know Ryan Reynolds was all about macking on that fudge. He's like, forget Scarlett Johansson. Give me some of Blake Lively's fudge. Ooh, yeah, so delicious. So yummy. Mm. Stephanie says, we also want to see the HR investigation just like she wants to do with Wayfair. Right. And so here's the interesting part. It doesn't appear that there were any HR investigations. Rather than calling up HR, it appears she called up Leslie Sloan, and Leslie Sloan was like Kerry Washington in Scandal. And she was like, it's handled. Sign this non disclosure, accept this $300,000 payment, allegedly, reportedly, and boom. It's never Blake's fault. Have you noticed? She's perfect. I mean, clearly. But hello, it was her company. Tiffany says, of course it wasn't her fault. God forbid she take any responsibility, the lack of self awareness with this girl. But it's just crazy that she's now 10 years later trying to launch this whole crusade against Justin Baldoni when she's had these allegations made against her herself. And do you think any of the other press is picking up on this? No. We need to share this story far and wide because this is crazy. I posted it on my Instagram. I posted it on TikTok. Share the video, post it to your stories because it's crazy. None of the press wants to talk about this stuff. They want to continue to protect her. Perez Hilton, I saw, just came out on his TikTok or on his Instagram account, and he was saying that he knows people that are connected with other reporters and he knows people behind the scenes, and they're being threatened by Blake's publicist. They're being threatened by Blake's PR team to only put out favorable stories about her. That's why the latest story we've seen about her is her and Ryan Reynolds walking down the streets of Manhattan on a romantic stroll, which shout out to Donna Bowling. I was on her YouTube channel yesterday. I was on Daily Dose of Donna, and she was saying that she had a friend that was sending her like photos, like Donna was like Dumois. It was like Daily Dose of Donna's Dumois. And so she had friends that were sending her text messages and photos from them. And they claimed that Blake and Ryan got out of their car and walked up to Anna Wintour's townhouse. And so it made it seem like, oh, they were just going for the press made it seem like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were going for a leisurely stroll in New York City, when in reality, they were walking from their SUV into Anna Wintour's apartment. And then the other funny thing is, apparently they walked up to the wrong address or the wrong townhouse. They were at the wrong door and had to go to another door. That was actually Anna Wintour's. I would imagine they're meeting with Anna Wintour because they obviously didn't get an invite to this year's Met Gala, understandably so. And now they're trying to cozy up to her and make it and make it clear that, you know, they want to make it very clear that Anna Wintour, that they're okay. They're not bad. They're not damaged goods right now. Everything's kosher. Everything's cool. Like, here's the truth. Do you want to know my story? Do you want to know my truth? Anna Wintour, please invite me back to the Met Gala. I'll do any fundraising for you, right? Didn't you remember I used to run Preserve, and Preserve was about saving the greater good. Please. Did they actually go inside her house? I don't I believe so. I believe so. It was probably like a meeting set up with their teams. Have your team call my team and we'll set up and whatever. It's kind of how I'm assuming it went down. But it's just funny that like the press was focusing on that. And press says that they're like trying to intimidate the press into only putting out favorable stories. So that's why I'm saying we need to share this story far and wide. Far and wide. Share this episode, you know, could tell your grab your friends, wear your florals, and get the story out there because it's crazy to me. It really is just crazy to me how much Blake and her team want to bury stuff like this. The fact that the Daily Mail, shout out to Josh Boswell, because he really is one of the few people that's doing these deep dives into Blake's history and to um her companies, and he's the one that blew the lid. What was the other big story that he broke? Oh, about Van Zandt and the sham lawsuit. And is the press talking about Van Zandt? No, the press is not talking about Van Zandt. And is the press talking about Preserve? No. Let's see. Blake Lively Preserve. Let's just Google that. And let's see if we got anything new from that. Nope. Nope. We have Daily Mail that published the article 17 hours ago, and then we have Reality T that posted an article 7 hours ago. So yeah, no, the press is not interested in covering Blake Lively from a real ooh, look at Vanity Fair did an article on Blake. Blake Lively's Preserve, an obituary. This is a dark, dark day, friends. Well, maybe not for Gwyneth Paltrow, who's likely cracking open a bottle of organic wheatgrass infused champagne in quite ecstasy, but for the rest of us, it's an especially distressing day for yours truly, who about 1 year ago went on a journey to understand the true meaning of the preserved lifestyle and came out of it a better man. It is a tragic day for anyone who has ever had a dream, who has ever said, you know what, maybe this could be fun, and actually gone ahead and made whatever that thing they thought could be fun was. And it's a sad day for mason jars. Yes, Blake Lively. This is an article from Vanity Fair written by Josh Duboff. Josh Duboff. 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 He wrote an obituary to Blake Lively's lifestyle brand. Yes, Blake Lively is shutting down Preserve, her lifestyle site, which she launched in the summer of 2014 to much fanfare, including a Vogue cover story. Yes, I'm sure Leslie Sloan pulled some strings to get that Vogue cover story. The site sold a variety of products, all seemingly designed for a Southern-themed bridal shower, but struggled to find a sense of identity, eventually relying on Blake's own image to generate press. Lively revealed the news that she was pregnant on the site. Interesting. As one would expect in this tabloid culture of ours, Preserve was immediately pitched or immediately pitted against Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop and Jessica Alba's The Honest Company. Interesting. I wouldn't think that The Honest Company would be in the same category, because The Honest Company was more of like it was the D2C uh, bundles, remember, of baby wipes and diapers, and then it uh, grew to cleaning products and then beauty products. I would think The Honest Company wasn't really a blog, though. And then there was also Reese Witherspoon's Draper James. I forgot about Draper James. And we're certainly guilty of this behavior as well. See the parentheticals in the first sentence of this post. In the end, none of us deserved Preserve. And now it's gone. Lively told Vogue.com in a lengthy, candid interview posted Wednesday that the site never caught up to its original mission. Why? Because your brother was sleeping with your staff? As it is not making a difference in people's lives, whether superficially or in a meaningful way. I don't know. Whoever your brother was fucking seemed to be enjoying it, even though your brother was married. But let's talk about that marriage. Was that marriage real? Where's your wife now, Eric? Let's talk about that, Eric. Huh? 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 I don't know. I listen, I think, the staffer that you were fucking was enjoying it in a very meaningful way, you know? He was meaningfully banging Eric. Let's continue. Let's continue. She says that she never wanted the site to enhance her own brand, really, but that the "I'm a celebrity, people will care what I have to say"ness ultimately became the crutch. She calls the decision to shut down the site exciting and incredibly scary. Why is it exciting? Because you no longer have to worry about what a nightmare your brother is to manage your company, and incredibly scary because you're afraid the former staffers are going to speak out against you. Here we are 10 years later. Bum psh. And Lively shows an appealing self awareness about how the press is going to take this news. I know what it'll look like, what I'm facing publicly. The people are just going to have a heyday with this. But it's so much worse to continue to put something out there, to ask my team to put something out there like what? Their buttholes to your brother? This isn't the best that we can do. No shit. I'm going to take this hit. And the only way I can prove all the negative reactions wrong is to come back with a plan that will rock people. Oh, like 10 years later, threatening a toxic work environment against your boss when you yourself were running a toxic work environment? Yeah, that's right. We can all take solace in the promise that Blake Lively will be coming back with another site, which never happened. She came out with Betty Buzz, and she came out with Blake Brown, which just launched their hair mist. So yummy. She's being cagey about what the site will entail, understandably, but she says, predicting her own future, the news about Preserve shutting down will blow up and I'll look like a jerk and everyone will be really horrible and it will be really horrible. And then the new news will come out and I'll look like a hero and everybody will be really nice. And then the new site will come out and half will be nice and half will be mean again. I mean, champagne problems. Thank God these are things I get to complain about. As for now, Lively says, I've asked my assistant to just play Shake It Off on loop. It feels really good to listen to it on loop. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Were they really? I think they were becoming friends at this point, or Blake was like setting the foundation. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Oh. So, what a choice do any of us, now lost without a North Star for our aspirational daydreaming, have but to just do the same? See, I like this Vanity Fair. This 2015 Vanity Fair, this I'm here for. The bullshit with Stephanie McNeil, remember with the mommy sleuths when she was putting out her snarky little article? At least this is kind of like cheeky and fun and it's a little witty, you know? I kind of like I'm feeling this Vanity Fair. To listen to Shake It Off on loop, ask someone you've never spoken to before or in an office to turn it on for you to achieve the full effect. Eat some sugary cupcakes and wish we lived in a world where all we had where had we all supported Preserve from the beginning with artisanal bow tie and a smile. Because do any of us feel good about participating in a universe that forces Blake Lively to walk into her bedroom where Ryan Reynolds is watching Adult Swim and whisper to him, well, it's done? To which Ryan nods his head and absently says, that's great, babe, causing Blake to shuffle into the bathroom and wipe away the gorgeous painted tear. What have we all done? I like Josh. Who is Josh? What is Josh doing these days? I want to follow and support Josh. What is Josh Duboff? Dubuff? Josh Dubuff. He was a senior writer for VanityFair.com based in New York. Is he still around? I want to find Josh Dubuff and see what he thinks of Blake Lively today. Oh, he is still around. He's a writer, an author. Oh, he wrote a book called Early 30s, which was published back in March. Interesting, cute. Do we like him? Has he become Team Blake? After years of covering entertainment for Vanity Fair, Josh began writing his debut novel, Early 30s, in 2019, as a way to reflect on his own journey as an ambitious 20-something in New York City. Cute. Oh, and how it is one of the best books of 2025, um, according to Vanity Fair. Or sorry, according to Vogue. Interesting. I wonder. We should reach out to him and see what he's up to these days, aside from his book. That would be kind of fun. He just wrapped up his book tour. Okay. All right, Josh, I see you. Zach, you are a bit too much. I just love your no filter. Thank you. Thank you. Play it again, assistant. Like, rather than putting it on an auto loop, Taylor Swift's music on auto loop, she just has her assistant manually replay it. Play it again, assistant. Play it again. Play it again. One more for my bestie, Taylor Swift. Just wait to see what I do with her 10 years later. Interesting, cute. Do we like him? I don't know if we like him yet, you know? He directed 25, a web series. Oh, okay. And he has a cute accent. Okay. 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 Well, let's move on from preserve because I will preserve you any further gagging as we recount the short-lived lifestyle website that Blake Lively tried, but she only had it for a year. Now, was it really closed because of misogyny or was it really closed because of her brother? Like, that's what I want to know. But let's talk about this other really yummy piece that came out. Shit, I want to lose my page. Da, 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 da. Oh, here we go. So Blake Lively obviously wrote a new letter to the judge. So let's review this latest legal filing because it goes to show that Blake Lively does not or did not want to participate in the investigation by Wayfair into her claims, her harassment claims. Okay, so here I'm going to pull up the latest one of the latest filings because there were quite a few of them. So this is from her attorney, Ezra Hudson. And she's saying that she wants Wayfair to preserve or to give she wants Wayfair to turn over the findings of their investigation, even though she didn't want to participate in it. Asked two lawyers interviewed Josh, Zack. Remember when the Van Shan? Yeah, so did I. Who interviewed them first? I love the Ask Two Lawyers, guys. I do. That's no shade to them. But also, remember, I interviewed Josh first about the Van Zandt lawsuit. Got to put some respect on my name. Okay. Okay, so this is the letter that they wrote to the judge saying, "Hey, judge, we want Wayfair to produce materials responsive that Miss Lively have set forth requests for production, which seek documents and witness recordings concerning Wayfair's purported neutral workplace investigation into Miss Lively's harassment and retaliation campaigns." Wayfair is withholding such documents and recordings, claiming, at least for now, which means they may produce them in the future, but at least for now, attorney client privilege and work product. Yes. This so called investigation is a disingenuous charade. Wayfair failed, although it was legally required to investigate Miss Lively's concerns when she first raised them in May 2023. Again, which we have still not seen any proof of, and Wayfair and Sony have denied this. Okay. Wayfair and Sony have both gone on the record to deny this. But Blake Lively claims that she raised these concerns in May 2023. May of 2023. But the movie came out in 2024. May of 2023 is very early, no? Is that timeline right or am I tripping? I feel like she didn't raise any concerns until November 2023, right? Because the movie was in production in it began production. It began in summer of 2023. No, isn't that when they first went into production? And then it wasn't until like November, December, January when they had the all hands deck meeting. Something about that time that she caught COVID. Oh, yes. Oh, got it. That's right. That was at the beginning of production, and she was like, "Oh my god." May 2023 is when they filmed before the strike. Correct, but thank you, JSH Money. That is true. That was that's the first time that she raised some concerns, and that's because she said that nobody told her that COVID was going around the set, and then she got COVID, which also it's 2023. It's not 2020. It's not 2021. It's not 2022. It's 2023, and I believe at that point they no longer had to disclose if anybody had tested positive for COVID. That was no longer part of the protocol, right? Like if somebody has the flu or if somebody has a cold, they don't have to actually disclose that anymore. And then she allegedly caught COVID because Elridge said that she was on the Eras tour. Yes, I remember that. She was sick and then she went to go see Taylor Swift on tour. Yes. Jen says in May or June 2023 is when the strike happened. Ryan came back from filming Deadpool and all hell broke loose in the penthouse after Ryan discovered his little puppy was being flirty and had Justin over. I don't know, maybe. November is when the strike ended. That's right. And then production came back up again in January of 2024. Let's look at Wayfair, the lawsuit info. Let's look at Wayfair's timeline. Let's see. Okay, this is 2019, 2022, 2023. Baldoni. Okay. So it looks like it was in January of 2023, Baldoni and Wayfarer developed marketing ideas for the film. They shared these campaigns with Sony. Got it. They were going to partner with No More. Got it. And then the trainer thing happened in January of 2023. Baldoni started working with the trainer. When did the trainer tell him tell Blake Lively that she was a cow? Baldoni begins writing and sending script revisions to Lively, all while building a rapport between the co-star and the lead actor. Responds that you're safe here, indicating that he has no need to worry of his choice of words and could speak freely. Got it. He shares those text messages. Got it. Got it. We have all the different text messages here. Lively shares with Baldoni that she has strep throat, not COVID. Ha. Okay, hold on. We'll get Baldoni and Reynolds exchange text messages expressing mutual respect. Is this where he tells him about his perineum? And then, yep, she has strep throat. He offered to send her to gut health protocols that help with antibiotics. She said, please, got it. So she got sick. So this was March of 2023, though. Interesting. Um, but this also appears to be around the time that the trainer told her that she was a big fat cow. Okay. Okay, let's fast forward through May. They're in production. Blake asks, she wants the dailies in April of 2023. Okay. Continue. Shared goals. Okay. Brandon Sklenar. Okay. Concerned about Blake's undue influence over the film and begins to grow before the film even started. Okay. This was just with the script. Got it. He's meeting with the intimacy coordinator. She doesn't want to meet with them in April. Then April, line producer for the film shares concerns about the ballooning wardrobe budget. Got it. So this is all pre-production. Lively begins altering the script daily. The frequency of Lively's revisions, this was in May, and inputs alarms for the producers who anticipate that her interference would be persistent every day of the shoot and disrupt the carefully planned production schedule. This was May 1st. May 2nd was the writers. The writers went on strike. Lively and Baldoni text almost daily, comfortable making silly jokes on May 3rd. May 5th, Wayfarer holds a respect in the workplace meeting via Zoom with the production team to review appropriate on-set behavior and other HR-related matters before principal photography begins. This is a standard in pre-production and employee training. Got it. Respect in the workplace was held via Zoom at 12 p.m. This was on May 4th. May 5th, Baldoni emails the intimacy coordinator his notes. Got it. In Lively's comfort. Production was set to begin within days of shooting in Vegas, and someone in Blake Lively's family falls ill on May 8th. Baldoni shares his prayers. So, how did she get sick from somebody on set? Uh, then there was the nudity writer from Blake Lively's attorney that came in May. No More representative who attended the table read the day before shares messages of encouragement with Baldoni. Baldoni is eager to establish a plan to make sure the film has the greatest impact to support victims of DV. Okay, on the first day. Okay. Then we see, okay, but I'm trying to, she says that she complained on May 23rd. So what happened? So we start filming May 22nd, May 23rd. What happened on May 23rd? At the end of the shoot on day 6, on May 22nd, 2023, Baldoni praises Lively. In turn, Lively expresses her regard and appreciation for Baldoni while acknowledging that she could be difficult and critical of others. No shit. He said, you were terrific and very, oh, she said, you were terrific and very proud of everything we did today, but really every day. Then we get to May 23rd. Shooting day, Baldoni, during a scene in which he's cast wearing loose-fitting onesies, attempts to give Lively directorial feedback regarding wardrobe and encourages her to remove her coat and to reveal her onesie to match the rest of the cast, who were also dressed in onesies. In Lively's complaint, she alleges that Baldoni used the word sexy in a tone that made her feel ogled and exposed. However, Baldoni, as the director, noted that the look would be sexy, referencing the wardrobe for the scene and not Lively personally. Lively previously mentioned verbally and in text that she wanted the wardrobe to be sexy. Okay, so this was the May 23rd is when sexy first came up. Later that day, during the action sequence, Lively and characters would kiss, which is all caught on camera. Lively's complaint later accused Baldoni of discreetly biting and sucking on her lip, on Lively's lower lip during the scene in which he improvised numerous times kisses on each take. Well, I mean, if it's a kissing scene, As shown below in the script pages, kissing was not improvised. And they show Ryle grabbing Lily around the waist and kissing her as. And then, okay, got it. 23rd during lunch, as part of continued creative discussion, Baldoni and Lively were having about a hospital birthing scene. Baldoni asked Heath to show Lively the post-home birthing video. Got it. The video in question showed Heath and his wife. Okay, so this all went down. A lot went down on May 23rd. So this is the first time that she's claiming that she raised concerns. COVID didn't happen. Lively learns that crew members have called in sick with COVID, and as a result, testing was done despite return to work agreement expiring, which laid out COVID protocols on set. There was still a remaining SAG protocol that if an actor requests those working in extremely close proximity to him or her tested, they must do so. Production compelled and informed crew members in close proximity to the cast that they should report for testing the following morning, contrary to Lively's complaint, which states that Wayfarer failed to implement COVID protocols on set. Production was under no obligation to conduct regular testing unless specifically requested by an actor, which they did. The email below shows the film's executive producers notifying the crew the following day of mandatory testing. Boom. Okay, so COVID happened around this time too. All right, just wanted to check what was going on in the world at that time. But so now let's flip back over to the letter. So she says that she first raised complaints and raised issues. Oh, in May of 2023. She doesn't specify the exact date. I misinterpreted that. But it seems like May is when a lot of this shit was going down. And then I believe June is when production was halted for the strike and didn't pick up again until November. Or they tried to pick it up in November. She stalled it. It didn't continue until January after the all hands meeting. But so they're saying that they want Wayfarer to turn over because Wayfarer hired a third party company to investigate Blake Lively's claims, but this didn't happen until January of 2025 after Blake Lively published her CRD complaint in the New York Times, right? And so they're saying that there were never any HR complaints that were made prior, and that's the reason that they didn't do any of these investigations then, because nothing was ever formally submitted via HR. Okay, so then let's scroll through to the exhibits. We have Blake's letter to this is also from Ezra Hudson. On behalf of our client, Blake Lively, I write to respond to your letter on January 31st, 2025, and to follow up on our conversation of February 12th, 2025. In your letter, you state that Wayfarer Studios has retained your firm to conduct a neutral third-party investigation of Blake Lively's complaint for harassment, retaliation, failure to investigate and prevent and or remedy harassment in and aiding and abetting harassment. You asked to interview Miss Lively to fulfill Wayfarer's legal mandate to investigate. With respect, we find this year's too late request baffling and we must decline. So here Blake Lively is saying, I don't want to participate in this investigation that's going to be, yes, this is the latest, not from Gottlieb, but this is the latest filing from Ezra Hudson, who's Blake's other attorney. But so it's interesting that now they're like, okay, participate. Here's a third party investigation, not being held by Wayfarer, but a neutral third party that wants to investigate these claims. Now is your chance to go on record and let's have these claims formally investigated. And Blake Lively is saying no. Arguably, you could say, well, she's saying no because it's, as they're claiming here, it's well after the fact. But in good faith, wouldn't you now participate and be like, yeah, let's do this in good faith. Let's get this resolved so that you can see, here's all the shit that I did. Here are all the times I complained. Here's all the correspondence. Here's everything that I'm giving you so that you can find that there was harassment done on set. Unless the only time you're afraid to participate in an investigation like this is when you have something to hide, when you know what the findings of the investigation are likely going to be, and if your attorneys are, suggesting otherwise. So they're saying that them wanting to interview Blake about her claims is baffling and they decline, right? As you know in your letter and confirmed on our call, employers have a legal mandate to investigate complaints of harassment. Yes. A failure to investigate is unlawful. Right. However, the law mandates not just that not just any investigation, but one that is prompt, thorough, and effective. Wayfair's proposed investigation is clearly none of these things. Well, how do you know it's not thorough and effective if you're refusing to participate? That's kind of preventing it from being thorough because you're not allowing your side to be heard by this third party investigator. Now, prompt, I would say they're claiming that these concerns were never raised when Blake's claiming that she raised them. Therefore, well, I guess when they had the all hands meeting, but again, they're claiming that at the all hands meeting that was in January of 2024, that never once was there harassment claims, that they were just claims that Baldoni thought that she was a big fat cow, as the trainer said, which arguably that's me paraphrasing. Nobody actually used the words big fat cow, but I'm imagining that's how Blake interpreted those words when the shady trainer went and told her she's a big fat cow, right? First, and Blake Lively's team continues, first, the fact that your firm has only been retained now, nearly 2 years after Miss Lively's first raised her harassment complaints in May of 2023, makes a mockery of the law's requirement of a prompt investigation. Again, where is the proof that you brought forth these harassment complaints in May 2023? Not you bringing them up now and saying, well, this happened in May 2023. No, show me the receipts. I want to see the receipts where you in May of 2023 brought forth these concerns. Tell me where. Show me where. Show me the money. Okay. As the EEOC has noted, even a 2-month delay in investigating fails to meet the statutory requirements of a prompt investigation. Again, when were these concerns brought forth formally? Show us the receipts. Second, an investigation must be thorough. As you know, the misconduct Wayfair now claims it wants to investigate is the subject of multiple federal lawsuits involving multiple parties and dozens of witnesses nationwide, very few of whom are current Wayfair employees. Any any thorough investigation must entail speaking to all of these witnesses and reviewing any relevant documents and information they possess. However, when they spoke, you acknowledged that they have no authority to compel anyone to speak to you and that you would be relying on Wayfair, led by the very people who are the accused parties, to provide you documents and set the scope and budget of the investigation. Oh my God, are you a fucking moron? You're asking this company to investigate you. And now you're saying we can't trust this company to provide information about their work environment because it's their work environment? Like, do you think we just fell out of a coconut tree? Did I just read that correctly? What? What? They're literally trying to mince words here and twist things to make them sound worse than they are. Like Wayfair is like, okay, here let's do this investigation, and then Lively's team is like, well, no, we don't trust them because they're the ones that are being accused of this behavior. So how do we trust them to turn over documents that are relevant? What? Well, you're the only one that's reluctant to participate in this. Like, what? Lively alleged that the retaliation campaign perpetuated by Wayfair and others against her was designed to be untraceable. Well, then, if it's designed to be untraceable, how are you going to trace it? With a ruler? Huh? Like, what? But you could not explain how you would be able to investigate these allegations given the limits placed on your authority, including the lack of a subpoena or other discovery power. Needless to say, an investigation that relies on the accused to set the scope and budget to provide self-serving documents and witnesses is not one designed to get to the truth. I don't know. I think the bitch that's trying to keep quiet and not let you investigate, that's the one I have questions about, not the people that are willing to turn over self-serving documents. Third, an investigation must be effective. It's kind of hard to do an investigation when the accuser is refusing to participate. You told me your role would be of fact gathering and that you are not charged by Wayfair to make any recommendation or suggest corrective action. As a matter of law, that is not an effective investigation. I love how they're telling the neutral third party investigators how to do their job. Like, what? I'm so confused by this. On our call, you acknowledged that if these incidents occurred as alleged, there are significant problems within the organization that will have to be contended with. We of course agree, but rather than recommend a remedial action, you told me that any report you might issue at the conclusion of your investigation which could be oral or written at Wayfair's discretion, would leave it up to Wayfair or its lawyers to decide what to do. Right, because they're the responsible party, okay? Further, you told me that it would be up to Wayfair whether to release any reports or to bury it under a claim of attorney-client privilege. No, as you mentioned in your letter earlier, they could temporarily withhold it since they're currently active in litigation with you. So until it becomes relevant to the case, they can withhold it because guess who was fighting for attorney's eyes only privileges? Ah, privacy, right? Work product. Huh. Remember those terms that you were flexing, Ezra? Wayfair and its counsel have spent the past few months in the press calling Miss Lively a liar. I don't think they've ever used that word specifically, but sure, we'll go with that. Stating that there was never any retaliation. Well, that's what happens when you deny allegations. And claiming that she has invented her claims of harassment out of malicious intent to harm them. That has yet to be determined in a court of law and determined by a jury. Indeed, just weeks before you sent your letter, Wayfair and its principals lined a nine-figure lawsuit against Miss Lively and her husband, asserting that the very claims that Wayfair is now would now have you investigate are false, defamatory, and even extortionate. Well, no shit. If they're trying to prove that the allegations are false, that's what an investigation is for, by a neutral third party to investigate them and to prove that you're lying. Now I'm calling you a liar. Um, okay, let's see. Moreover, from the moment they understood that Miss Lively complained, Miss Lively has alleged that Wayfair and its principals have been on a stated mission to bury and destroy her and those who defended her. Okay. Against this backdrop, it is clear that Wayfair's belated investigation is a sham designed to not get to the truth, but to obscure it. Oh, kind of like the Van Zandt lawsuit that you launched to get the subpoena, to get the text messages that somehow ended up in the New York Times. Like, again, pot calling kettle black. Double standards, my love. Miss Lively's claims were first raised in May of 2023. If Perhaps if Wayfair had complied with the law and retained your firm to investigate Miss Lively's claims when she first raised them in May of 2023, she would have agreed to participate and the parties would not have been in litigation today. Then why does she film? Why does she continue participating if all of this shit went down in May of 2023 and she raised these concerns in May of 2023 and what behavior was never corrected? Unfortunately, Wayfair ignored its obligations and has repeatedly doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on its conduct. Accordingly, Miss Lively declines your firm's request for an interview, and she will instead continue to rely on the legal process to resolve her claims. Jesus Christ, what a nightmare. Okay, Ezra Hudson. Dear Miss Hudson, we received your letter. This is from the third party investigators. We received your letter of February 14th declining Miss Lively's participation in the investigation of her claims against Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steven Sarowitz, and Wayfair Studios. While we acknowledge and respect your concerns, certain aspects of your letter mischaracterize our role statements and the fundamental nature of workplace investigations. Timeliness of the investigation. Wayfair retained our firm to investigate the claims made by Miss Lively's recent legal filing before the California Civil Rights Division and the United States District Court. So this is them responding about the timeliness of when the investigation was launched. Your client contends that the allegations surfaced years ago and should have been investigated. The scope of our investigation includes whether Miss Lively filed complaints and whether Wayfair failed to investigate them. We will determine through this investigation whether a preponderance of the evidence supports her claims. Right. So they're not just investigating. This is what Lively and her team seem to be deflecting from. Their job is not, as a neutral third party, their job is not just to investigate Lively's claims, but their job is also to investigate Wayfair's claims. And Wayfair is claiming she never filed these complaints. So if you did file them, then participate in the investigation to prove your case. Even if Wayfair failed to investigate Miss Lively's prior complaints as she alleged, Wayfair still must investigate subsequently filed complaints. Regardless of the timing, once serious allegations come to light, a neutral investigation remains a necessary and appropriate step, and we intend to carry out that obligation in accordance with best practices. In terms of the scope and independence of the investigation, They write, you expressed concerns regarding the scope of the investigation, Wayfair's payment of our fees, and the absence of a subpoena power. While Wayfair retained us, the core function of an independent workplace investigation is neutrality. Wayfair does not indicate our investigation nor determine whom we interview. We pursue all relevant facts, including information from witnesses identified by any party involved. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, that Blake Lively can bring forth her witnesses and they can also participate willingly in this investigation and can provide context or details or back up and validate her claims, right? But she doesn't want to offer any of that up, huh? We pursue all relevant facts, including information from witnesses identified by any involved party. Your assertion that Wayfair will determine who we interview mischaracterizes our process. As neutral third party investigators, we rely on voluntary witness participation. This limitation is not unique to the situations nor reflects the deficiency in the investigative process. It is simply how investigations function in the employment context. Unlike litigation, workplace investigations do not afford subpoena power and or others um, coercive measures to compel testimony. Instead, the process is designed to obtain information from those willing to come forward. Current company employees are typically required to cooperate per company policy, but external witnesses, such as former employees or third parties, may choose whether to participate. We make diligent efforts to identify and interview relevant witnesses, follow up with those who may initially be reluctant, and document any individuals who decline to participate. Oh, like Lively herself. If a witness refuses to engage, like Lively herself, that does not mean the investigation is ineffective. Rather, it is a reality inherent in this fact finding process. To suggest otherwise would be to hold us to an impossible standard that is not aligned with how neutral workplace investigations operate. Your letter appears to frame these procedural realities as flaws, but in doing so, it creates a paradox. You acknowledge that our role as independent investigators, yet simultaneously critique us for not having powers that no independent workplace investigators possess. It is important to recognize that our role is not to compel participation, but to pursue the facts as thoroughly as possible within the framework of an impartial workplace investigation. We welcome information from all sources, including your client, and encourage the identification of any relevant documents or witnesses who may contribute to a complete and accurate assessment of the facts, such as your assistant. Remember the one that you have play Taylor Swift's Shake It Off on loop? Remember you have your assistant play the song on repeat over and over and over again. Shake it off, shake it off. Well, that assistant number one, number two, or number four can come forth, or all four of them can come forth, right? And they can say, yes, I play Shake It Off by Taylor Swift on loop for Blake Lively. Despite your client's decision to not participate, we remain open to receiving any information, documents, or witness names that your client believes would be relevant. Our objective remains to determine the facts as comprehensively as possible, regardless of whether Miss Lively actively participates in the investigation with a witness interview. Then they get into the neutrality of interviews and counsel neutrality of interviews with counsel present. You've also raised concerns that an interview conducted in the presence of company counsel can never be truly neutral. As we discussed during our call, while counsel is always permitted to be present, particularly when legally required in the case of represented parties, their role is strictly observational, not participatory. If counsel, whether for Wayfair, Miss Lively, or any other third party witness, oversteps that boundary and attempts to interfere with the neutrality of the interview process, we document that in our report, and take appropriate corrective measures to ensure that such conduct does not interfere with the integrity of the investigation. Our role as investigators remains independent, and we do not permit counsel's presence to compromise the fairness of our findings. Then they get into the methodology and investigative approach. Your letter also raises concerns about our ability to investigate alleged practices that may have been designed to be untraceable. As we explained, I love a good per my last email. As we explained, we understand the nature of the allegations and we will take appropriate measures, including working with third party professionals where necessary. The expectation that we should, at the outset, outline all specific investigative methods we will employ is unrealistic. The nature of the workplace investigations requires adaptability as methods evolve based on facts uncovered during the process. Then they address the effectiveness of the investigation by writing. You state that our investigation cannot be effective because we do not issue recommendations. This reflects a misunderstanding of our role. Well, yeah, no shit. They're not supposed to recommend what you do. They're just supposed to find the truth. We aim to determine facts and identify concerns, not implement workplace changes or dictate corrective actions. What the company ultimately does with our findings is beyond our scope, but identifying and documenting issues is the first step in addressing workplace concerns. Holding us responsible for implementing changes would fundamentally alter our role of a neutral fact finder. To state the obvious, if our investigation results in documented findings of harassment or other improper workplace conduct and the employers failed to take appropriate remedial measures, they will undoubtedly face consequences both legally and reputationally. This is particularly true in this case, where any actions taken will be subject to heightened scrutiny. The employer ignores substantiated findings at its own risk, as failing to act on investigation conclusions could lead to liability, regulatory scrutiny, and significant reputational harm. The reality underscores why independent investigations are critical to responsible workplace management. Wayfair's decision on whether and how to act on our findings is separate from function as in our uh, findings is separate from our function as investigators. However, the notion that our work is ineffective simply because we do not dictate the next steps mischaracterizes the process of an independent investigation. Our findings serve as a foundation for informed decision making, and any suggestions that they can be disregarded without consequence is unrealistic. Then we get into the final note, which is the privileged nature of the investigation. We acknowledge your concerns regarding the privileged nature of our investigation and Wayfair's ability to assert and waive privilege. However, as I trust you are aware, it is a standard workplace in it is a standard practice in workplace investigations that the privilege remains with the employer. This does not mean that we are beholden to the company. As we discussed, our communications with the company and its representatives during the investigation are limited to the logical matters and status updates, not the specific substance of witness interviews. As we assured you on our call, it is not our practice to share investigation notes or findings with our client before the completion of the report. We understand the skepticism surrounding your role, particularly given the public nature of these matters and the adversarial nature of litigation. However, our obligation remains to conduct a thorough, impartial investigation consistent with best practices. Ms. Adam and I have conducted hundreds of workplace investigations within these standards, and we take our role and responsibility very serious. And they close with continued opportunity for participation. While we respect your client's decision, we urge reconsideration. Participation in this process allows for full and fair assessment of these claims as noted, regardless of whether Ms. Lively chooses to be interviewed. We remain open to receiving any information, witness names, or documents your client believes should be considered in determining the truth of these allegations. Please let us know if your client is willing to provide such information or if she is open to further discussions regarding participation. We remain committed to conducting a professional and neutral investigation. Now, why are we reviewing these documents now? Well, that's because Blake Lively is now requesting that Wayfair turn over all relevant information in this lawsuit. So um, they're asking for them to give all of this information up in discovery, and Wayfair is fighting back, saying, well, actually, no, we have an open investigation that is yet to be determined. We've invited Blake to participate. She's refusing to participate. Not only is she refusing to participate, but she's also refusing to give us any names of other relevant witnesses or to provide the documents that prove that she made these HR complaints. Where are the documents? If you made these complaints, they should be available, you know? Mildly Mercurial says, "Ooh, she'd throw witnesses immediately if she had anything. She's got nothing. She's got no witnesses. She's got no actual records of HR complaints. You know, it's Ryan's filing motions for sanction that was just released. Yeah, I just saw that come in. So it looks like what is this? Ryan Reynolds. I, Michael Gottfried, declare as follows: I'm the attorney. I respectfully submit this declaration in support of Mr. Reynolds' motion for sanctions. Yeah. Again, Steve Sarowitz, Jamie Heath, Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel. It ends with us and their counsel. Yeah. So this kind of I'll briefly recap this. This came in yesterday from Blake's team, and now it looks like Ryan is also filing the same thing. So Blake and Ryan are basically saying they want sanctions against the other parties because their claims against them are meritless. So as we know, Melissa Nathan, the crisis PR manager, Jennifer Abel, the publicist, Steve Sarowitz, who is the co-founder of Wayfair, and Jamie Heath, who is a producer, they're all collectively suing Blake Lively with Justin Baldoni. Brian Friedman is representing all of them, and collectively they are suing Blake Lively. What do sanctions mean? Penalties. Sanctions are basically like basically what they're asking the judge is for the judge to throw out their claims and to say, no, bad. You need to pay a penalty. You need to be held in contempt or whatever the penalties may be. That's what the sanctions are. So sanctions are now the latest tactic because obviously the judge has not determined whether or not their motions to dismiss will be upheld, right? Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times are all asking to be dismissed from this lawsuit. And now this is just kind of their other legal tactic, which is to get these claims thrown out. I don't know whether they will be thrown out or not. I feel like a lot of these things are matters of fact that should be determined by a jury. But again, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know um, whether or not. I mean, it doesn't sound like this is standard. Um, yeah. Ashley says, "So unfair. Why can't Baldoni submit documents that her harassment claims are false and be dismissed? Also, just another tactic to dismiss." Yeah, that's my interpretation. Is it's one another tactic to get this lawsuit thrown out, and two, another theory that I had. And again, I don't know how accurate this is. This is just my own layman's analysis of it. But my thought is she's probably trying to get Heath, Sorowitz, Abel, and Nathan thrown out of this because one, should she lose, which may be what her team is predicting at this point, is that she's likely going to lose this lawsuit. If she loses, that'll cut down what she has to pay out at the end, right? Because as of right now, she has to pay for attorney's fees for Baldoni, Abel, Nathan, Sorowitz, Heath. It ends with us, LLC, and Wayfair, LLC. So she would have to pay out attorney's fees for all of them. And then also the $400 million that they're suing for, that's collective amongst all the parties, right? Wayfair, it ends with us, Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel, Steve Sarowitz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni. So the seven of them would collectively be receiving that 400 million. So if you get rid of five of them, then I would imagine it would then be hard for Justin Baldoni to then claim that he's entitled to the full 400 million. So that could reduce the settlement amount and reduce the amount of attorney's fees she'll ultimately end up paying out, especially if she wins these motions to sanction, because the motions to sanction would not only penalize all of the other parties, but would also prevent her from having to pay out their attorney's fees. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. We will see. Cece says she's just trying to burn out the 100 million promise so that she can ruin him. I think that's what this random filing is for. I mean, it's not so much random as much as she's trying to throw anything at the wall that she's hoping will stick. And I think Leanne Newton said that this could also be, she's an attorney on X. I think she also said that this could be an attempt for them to nudge the judge to be like, "Hey, judge, we're still waiting on those motions to dismiss. Can you weigh in on those motions to dismiss?" I don't think that they'll be sanctioned at this point. Because again, like similar to like SB, what was it? SB 71.2, 71 point something. Remember the Me Too law here in California? And ultimately, the Ask Two Lawyers guys were saying that it was a really strong argument that she made, but what we failed to look at was the fact that that was a matter for a jury to decide, not for a matter of the judge. The judge doesn't determine matters of fact. The jury determines matters of fact, and that'll have to be played out in front of a jury. So I'm pretty sure that'll also be thrown out. NAG says there's no way it'll be allowed, the sanctions. She said it's ridiculous. I personally agree. I think it's silly, and I think it's just another attempt to delay the process, to muddy the waters. And then when I was talking to Donna Bowling yesterday, she came up with the theory that this is likely an attempt to distract us. Yes, 47.1. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. She was saying that this is likely to deflect from the Taylor Swift of it all. If we keep the conversation away from Taylor Swift, people will move on from the fact that she was threatening to release text messages, allegedly, and that she allegedly asked Taylor Swift to delete some of their text messages. Um, Tenerife C says, do you think Judge Lyman is biased? No, I don't think he's biased. I know we may not like some of the decisions that he's making, but again, his decisions are coming from a legal standpoint, right? As a judge, I think I mean, the other reality too is it doesn't appear that the Wayfair parties are playing the same games that Blake is playing. Blake is filing every motion, right? Motion to dismiss, motion to sanction, motion to strike from the record. Like every fucking motion that comes out is coming from the Lively parties more than it's coming from the Wayfair parties, which tells me that the Lively party, that's the reason they keep getting these quote unquote wins in court, is because they're filing more motions than the Wayfair parties are. The Wayfair parties are letting her play her games, and they're kind of just moving forward, trying to get the subpoenas out, trying to get the deposition scheduled. They're trying to move through this discovery, because rather than playing with all of these stupid motions, they want to get to the meat and get to the evidence so that they can prove their case. So that's why we don't see them filing as many motions as the Lively parties. So when we see the judge making these decisions, it's based off of the motions that are being filed by the Lively parties. Similar to like objections, right? We've all seen films, think Legally Blonde, whatever, how when an attorney goes up and is questioning a witness, the opposing counsel can say, I object for, I object on relevance. I object on badgering the witness. I object. Like they can object to the questions that are being asked. If you constantly object, eventually you're going to get a win, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing here. This is just kind of like a parallel example. I'm not saying that they hold the same weight or that they're equal in some way, but the Lively parties are doing more, for example, objections, right? Let's pretend that we're in court. They're saying, judge, objection, judge, objection, judge, objection. And so they're objecting, trying to disrupt the Wayfair's party's ability to move forward with their case because of all of these motions that they're filing in court. I hope that made sense. Um, have you know? Donna's World says, "Have you noticed that they asked your lawyers stop posting? It's been crickets for weeks." Well, they're active lawyers. I'm sure they're probably involved. I haven't talked to them in a couple weeks, but I would imagine they've been actively involved in certain cases. They have clients that they have to tend to. Uh, Katie says these motions for sanctions are not a surprise to Wayfair. They were notified weeks ago that this was coming. Yes, I believe it was in April that they made the initial, my word, threat of these sanctions, where they were saying, withdraw your claims or we're going to file a motion to sanction. And obviously the Wayfair parties were not going to withdraw their claims, so they allowed her to move forward. Gwen says, yes, you can tell her team is scrambling for anything. At this point, yeah, they're scrambling. They are willing to take anything that they can possibly get. Yeah. Also running up their legal bill. Yeah, I believe in the Jed Wallace case, they were in Jed Wallace's case, um they just filed a new like 1,000-page plus their latest filing in that, which first it was 800 pages, and then they filed a new document that was over 1,000 pages. I'm not following the Jed Wallace case closely. I'm just gonna let that play out, especially because I don't want to be going through 800 to 1,000 pages of bullshit after they got scared about Van Champ. Well, that's the thing. The Van Zan bullshit and the secret subpoena looked really bad from them, and now the Taylor Swift stuff looks really bad from them, right? The alleged extortion of Taylor Swift, that looks crazy. That looks so bad for them. So of course they're going to try to jump at anything they possibly can. Judge Lehman's threat to Friedman was a bad call. Friedman was responding to the motion. Yes, I actually disagree. And I know that's, again, I know we may not like some of the decisions that Lehman is making, but again, it's because Blake is filing the motions that he's responding to, number one. And number two, Friedman's a very smart guy. He took a gamble, and he knew that he was taking a gamble with what he did. It was smart because I think it opened the door with the Taylor Swift stuff, and now Blake Lively can't hide behind. Like, ultimately, there was a long game that Friedman was playing, but Friedman, as smart as he is, knows that it was a risk. He took it was a risky move that he was making that he knew could likely piss off the judge, and it pissed off the judge. That's kind of the reality. He's calculated, he thinks down the line, but he took a gamble, right? He took a gamble to get the Taylor Swift out. Yeah, and listen, we'll see. I'm sure that there's a bigger long game that he's playing with that was worth this risk, but I don't think we should be upset or fault Lehman for that, because Lehman is just responding to what's in front of him right now. And technically, Friedman shouldn't have brought that before Lehman, because that was something that a judge in DC should have determined, not Judge Lehman. It shouldn't have come to Lehman yet. However, I think that it was a calculated move to get the Taylor Swift stuff out into the open and to get people talking about it, because now when that moves into discovery and that subpoena brings forth those documents, Blake Lively can't hide behind the attorney's eyes only protection that she got the judge to give her for third party privacy. So it was a gamble. He knew it was a slap on the wrist. He knew that he was likely going to get a slap, or that there was at least a chance that he was going to get that slap on the wrist. He took the gamble. He got his slap on the wrist. We're moving forward from it, right? But I don't think it's fair to call Judge Lehman biased or to be upset with him for making that decision, because it was technically the correct decision for him to make, right? It didn't belong on his docket, but no one will be watching the DC docket. Exactly. So it got people talking about it. Again, Friedman knew the risk and the gamble that he was taking with that, but he was responding to a motion that was filed in New York. Yes, yes, which I think opened the gate for him to make this move. And it was a power move for sure. And he took that, but he, again, knew it was a gamble. I'm not going to argue with you about this. It was a gamble. It was ultimately a win for all of us at the end of the day. So I'm going to focus on the win and trust that Judge Lehman will continue to get us to the finish line. We're moving and grooving. Yeah, it wasn't a motion, it was a letter to the judge. Yes, thank you, Gigi. It was a letter to the judge from Lively, which it was a stupid, pointless letter. And so rather than Friedman saying, "Hey, judge, sanction them because that was a stupid, pointless letter," he filed his own letter, and then that's when Lively came back and was upset. Judge Lehman probably doesn't like Friedman's style, and that's fair, but that doesn't mean he's biased. It's a regular job for him. Sometimes lawyers don't like each other, and it has nothing to do with the Justin case. Exactly, Enrique. Thank you. Uh, Perfectly put. I want to fast forward to 2026 so fast. I know. Okay. All right. This is where I leave you. Guys, we're so close to breaking 100,000. We're at 99.2. We're almost at 99.3. Do you think we can break 100K before the end of the year? Because that would be amazing. That would be so yummy. I can't wait. Dens says, "Is your tour going to be streamed on YouTube?" Unfortunately, not. You guys, I know my last two tours were streamed online, um, but this one, unfortunately, will not be streamed. But stay tuned. If you can come on out, I would love to see you. I would love to come and hang with you. I'm going on my Zactivated tour this summer. I'm coming to Dallas, Phoenix, Philadelphia, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago, Seattle, and Los Angeles. So come on down, grab your friends, wear your florals. In Dallas, I have Colonel Kurtz. That's going to be, I can't announce this, the featured headlining talent at any of the shows just yet, but I'm bringing a lot of your favorite creators on the road with me. So Colonel Kurtz has been covering all of this Baldoni madness for quite some time. Colonel Kurtz is going to be with me in Dallas. Andy from Popcorn Planet, who's also been covering this madness and is producing a documentary about the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal drama. Andy's going to be with me in Phoenix, Andy from Popcorn Planet. In Philly, I'm going to have Giorgio Says and the Brav Bros. In Toronto, I'm going to have some special guests. In Brooklyn, I'm going to have Donna Bowling. In Chicago, I'm going to have Donna Bowling and Chef Stu. In Seattle, I'm going to have the Sidley twins. And then in Los Angeles, I'm going to have I don't know if you guys are, you probably have known my friend Louis Levanti and Christy from Spill Sesh. They're going to be in the Los Angeles show. Lots more special guests will be announced as well. You'll have a mix of Baldoni tea, royalty. The Sidley twins have told me that in the Seattle show that they're going to be spilling some tea about Paul Feig. They have some insider tea because they worked with Paul Feig, but they're saving it for the stage. So lots of tea to come. Get your tickets now. Go to nofilterlive.com. That's nofilterlive.com. I love it. I love it. I love it. Patricia says, loved you on Billy Bush. Did you know they mentioned your tour after you were on? Billy asked if you were going to be near him. Yes, well, in Los Angeles. Yes, I did catch that. Yeah, thanks, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your, what's today? Tuesday. Oh my God, I thought it was Thursday. It's Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I will talk to you tomorrow. Catch my appearance on Billy Bush. Catch my appearance on Court TV if you missed that, talking about Aubrey O'Day and the Diddy trial. I posted on YouTube, so you can watch it if you missed it live this morning. All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. Go review on Apple Podcasts. Drop a comment on Spotify. Leave all the ratings. Drop a comment below on YouTube. And subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We're so close to 100K. So close. Hit the like button on your way out. All right. All right. Love you. Appreciate you. Get your tickets. nofilterlive.com. All right. That's all. Ciao for now. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.